Barnes, Anunoby, Trent Jr., Schroeder, and Siakam. O'Neale, the sidestep three. We talked about it.
Got to play solid defense. Dennis got lost twice on that.
Ugly. The Toronto Raptors lose against the Brooklyn Nets 115-103 in their final in-season tournament game in ugly fashion. Missed free throws, missed layups, a barrage of threes from the Nets supporting cast, and the Raptors fall to 8-10 on the season.
Congratulations to Brooklyn. They played a great game. They were able to make shots down the stretch. We got 15 offensive rebounds. We just did not convert, as well as our drives and attacks to the rim. We did not convert today those.
From the jump, this game was about as brutal as it could get. The score was 7-6, 6 minutes into the game, and it didn't get much better for the Raptors, who struggled immensely offensively in this one. They finished the game shooting 38% from the field, and while they made 36% of their threes, they shot poorly from the free throw line again, knocking down 63% of their freebies, and they went 11 for 25 at the rim and shot 7 of 25 from the short mid-range area. Just a catastrophic offensive performance, and they couldn't supplement any of that by getting out in transition because their defense wasn't good enough against the Nets either.
It looked just that our offense and missing our layups and missing open shots, it just bleeded into our defense, and we put our guard down, and it changed the game, really.
Now, luckily, the Nets allowed the Raptors to stay in this game because they themselves struggled offensively, and a team that relies on the three ball only shot 34% from behind the arc. But ultimately, their defensive game plan against the Raptors was sound. They dared Toronto to take outside shots, they shut down the painted area, and they forced Toronto into tough looks. On the offensive end, they got enough from their litany of wings, including Royce O'Neale, who banged 6 threes to finish off the Raptors. It's really hard to pull out positives for the Raptors from this game. All of their starters were negatives, excluding Jakob, who had some solid defensive moments. And while Gary Trent Jr. and Chris Boucher put up 28 points for the second unit, it just isn't enough when the rest of the team isn't executing at a high level.
But I thought that Chris did a really good job today, as well as Malachi off the bench giving us some good minutes. Jalen as well, he got deflections and steals and good runs there. So we gotta continue building and trusting our guys there, and this is what we have, and we gotta build those guys.
In the end, the margin of error for this Raptors team is really thin. While they have the potential to be a really good defensive team, they've been rather inconsistent on that end. And on offense, they continue to be one-track minded in their approach. When teams are able to take away option A for the Raptors on offense, they're able to take away everything. And it makes it virtually impossible for the Raptors to stay in games even when they do perform well defensively. Losing the free throw battle and the shooting battle only makes it even harder for this team to make up that difference. We've seen it against the Orlando Magic. We've seen it against a few other teams, but when teams are able to take away the paint from the Raptors, they're able to have a lot of success against them. And that's what we're going to dive into for the film room. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, the Raptors struggled trying to get into the paint, and they struggled finishing there in the short range area. The Nets did an incredible job of closing off and walling off the paint so that the Raptors were forced to take outside shots. And while the Raptors did stay in the game thanks to their three-point shooting, Scottie Barnes hit some shots, Chris Boucher hit some shots. Yes, the shots were made, but ultimately they weren't able to get to their game plan because they weren't able to get into the teeth of the defense. No dribble penetration made no advantage created, hence nothing was available for the Raptors offense. We saw it from very early on in this game, the Nets' ability to switch. You see Claxton on Scottie Barnes here and just pinching in on a lot of these drives. They're allowing the Raptors to shoot these shots. Pascal Siakam ends up with a corner three here. The Nets were basically completely daring the Raptors to take these shots. And yes, Scottie Barnes hit 3 of 7 threes tonight, but ultimately these are the shots that Brooklyn wanted to live with. Pascal Siakam gets dribble penetration here, and then it turns into a wide open shot for Scottie Barnes. But again, look how far Mikal Bridges is sagging off of that. They are comfortable with them beating them from the outside. This is a big example of why spacing matters. Pascal Siakam and Scottie Barnes took 9 threes in the first half. They only took 8 shots inside the paint, and that's because the Nets were just daring them to do this. So you see on this possession, there's no advantage created by getting into the paint. You see, look at where the Nets defenders are. They are completely sagging off of Pascal Siakam above the break. They are okay with him hitting that shot. Again, Siakam is struggling from 3 this year, and even with Scottie Barnes in the corner, Spencer Dinwiddie is there, but he's okay, and he's pretty comfortable if the ball gets swung to Scottie to take this shot. This time it ends in a Siakam 3, and he misses this one. That's the game plan for the Nets. They are okay with them daring them to hit these shots, and it paid off. Same thing here. OG comes off of a pin down into a dribble handoff. Again, look at where they are converging onto him. They are trying to limit paint touches as much as possible, and near rim paint touches is the key thing here. So yes, the Raptors are forced to kick it out. Once again, Pascal Siakam in the corner, he misses this shot. When you are asking 2 of your forwards who aren't the best shooters also, to make these shots, it's a losing recipe for the Raptors. And now on this possession, the Raptors are just trying to get dribble penetration by any means. You see Jalen McDaniels tries to get into the teeth of the defense. No advantage created here because they're helping off. OG Anunoby fumbles the ball, but again, he tries to get into the teeth of the defense as well through his own drive. There is a pinch in because again, they are comfortable with Scottie Barnes taking this shot. He doesn't. He tries to redrive the ball as well. It turns into a turnover. And this possession right here in the third quarter is probably a great example of it all. Jakob Poeltl and Dennis Schroeder run a high pick and roll. Claxton is in a deep drop here. No advantage is created. He swings it to OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby tries to get dribble penetration. Nothing is created. Then Scottie Barnes in the corner. He tries to get in there. Absolutely nothing. Pascal Siakam once again tries to draw and kick. Nothing happens. No advantage is created. And you see the Raptors try to get a paint touch. Scottie Barnes eventually does, but it is off the mark. And the worst thing is that yes, while the Raptors struggled to get to the rim, when they did get to the rim and when they were there, they missed their shots, they missed their layups, and even when they did miss their layups and they were fouled, they were unable to hit those free throw shots. So it's a cascading effect of things. The Raptors weren't able to get to the paint. When they got to the paint, they were fouled, and when they got fouled, they weren't able to hit their free throws. It's just a ballooning problem on offense for this team when they struggle to get into the paint, because paint touches allow them to do the draw and kick stuff that they do. It opens up a lot of threes for them. It opens up the back cutting that they like to do. Some of the off-ball movement opens up when the Raptors are trying to do that, and ultimately it failed tonight. I thought that this game exemplified the worst aspects of the Raptors offense when nothing is going their way, and when a team like the Nets, who has struggled defensively this year, is such a matchup nightmare for the Raptors. And I said this before the game. I said the Nets are a good test for this quote-unquote improving Raptors offense, because they have the exact type of scheme to throw out at the Raptors to make it difficult for them. Yes, the switch heavy stuff is obvious, but ultimately limiting paint touches with the amount of switchability that they have, you know, they can kind of guard 1 to 5 and be comfortable, and also pinching in and daring the Raptors to shoot, shows you that the scouting report is out, if you will. And I think more and more teams as the season progresses will try and dare these Raptors to shoot. Dennis Schroeder was, cooking to start this season from 3. He was hitting on 50% of his threes. He's cooled down. Pascal Siakam is struggling from 3 this season. Scottie Barnes was really, really good to start the season. He's cooled down to about 37, 38%. I don't know what it is, depending on tonight. But ultimately, the Raptors need their guys to hit shots, and their personnel doesn't have shooters. That's why in this game, you saw them rely desperately on OG Anunoby, who struggled tonight. I think he was 2 of 9 on the night. Gary Trent Jr., he had 14 points, but it was massive when he was on the floor because they help stretch the floor. They help expand things for the Raptors. They also help kind of key in on the defensive side of the ball. So let's say, for example, teams are pinching in on the Raptors, but there's Gary on the weak side or OG on the weak side. Okay, now that defender has to remember that there is an OG there or a Gary there who can hit a shot, and therefore he probably doesn't pinch in as much. He probably doesn't help off as much. And it creates a little bit more space for Pascal and Scottie to operate. Shooting, spacing, these things are important. And it showed today why that's important for the Toronto Raptors, because no advantage is created when the team that you are facing is daring you to hit your shots. That's what it is. There was a lot of discussion about Darko Rajakovic and, some of the changes he might do, maybe giving Dennis Schroeder less of the ball. I think some of that is fair. I think there are tweaks that he needs to make, and he's a rookie head coach and he'll have to figure things out for himself. But this isn't a Darko Rajakovic problem. This is a roster construction problem. This is a personnel problem. The team does not fit. The team does not play modern basketball. The team struggles in multiple aspects of modern basketball, whether it be the free throw shooting, which is, a very common thing, or the three-point shooting. The team struggles in it. The team struggles in advantage creation and getting downhill. That's why Malachi Flynn had an impact tonight, because of his bursty, quick speed. He was able to get into the teeth of the Nets defense and create advantages for others. Dennis Schroeder was really important tonight because of that. Gary Trent Jr. was very important for that tonight. OG Anunoby didn't hit his shots, but if he did, he would have been massive in tonight's game. Shooting, advantage creation, guard play, all things the Raptors lack, and that's why they lost tonight. It reared its ugly head. That's what it was. So look, it's done. They're 8-10. The in-season tournament is done for the Toronto Raptors. They face Kevin Durant. Actually, no, Kevin Durant's questionable, so maybe they don't play Kevin Durant. They play Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns tomorrow night, or tonight for the people who are listening in the morning. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they get to 9-10, but ultimately, the team is what it is. Unfortunately, the team is what it is. And unless there is some kind of move or trade or shakeup that happens at some point in time this season, they're going to struggle in the same departments that we've seen them struggle so far this season. They are what they are. Thank you very much for listening. And as always, if you guys are interested to hear me talk about the NBA in general at large, tap in to the Objective Basketball Podcast, and we'll see you guys later. Take care.